gym owners can get stuck where they can't find their number two person to help them get out of certain roles or to scale up and out. Welcome to Gym Owner Freedom. I am Scott Carpenter, and I am a former broke, struggling, frustrated, and overworked gym owner that felt stuck no matter what I did to try and improve the business. Once I realized that the answer wasn't what I thought it was, just getting more clients, and after really doing the math on acquisition and churn rates, I realized I wasn't even playing a winnable game to begin with. With my current price structure, mathematically, there was no way I could afford to pay my staff so I could scale up and out of the business, that I can have the time, the money, the impact, and the freedom that I always knew I was capable of. Once I learned how to add value by selling transformational programs to people who needed more than just workouts, everything changed in my life. Today, I own 6 gyms that all run without me, and I am free to pursue my passion projects and work just because I love to, not because I have to. And if that's a goal that we mutually share together, then this is the show for you. I'm going to teach you the framework to make way more money with less clients and open up a world of possibilities to you. Subscribe, leave a review, and tune in every week. It'll change your life. I promise you that. Welcome, everybody. Let's dive right into it. So today I have one of the coolest guests in the world. You're going to want to listen to this thing from beginning to end, I guarantee you. I just had the opportunity to see him last month in person. I've got Justin Poulet on here. He is partner and the client success director of Clients and Community. And Clients and Community, for those of you who don't know, they teach you how to really monetize Facebook groups. They're incredible at it. We hired them, I think initially maybe in October-ish, November-ish. And we went into their initial program, and then we joined their full mastermind in January. And that's where I met Justin. Justin, I met you for the first time. So welcome to the Gym Owner Freedom Show.
Well, thank you, man. Really happy to be here. Looking to get into a really good conversation. I know it's going to be good. I don't know where we're going with it, but I know it's going to be good. We'll make it powerful.
Absolutely, man. And hey, for those of you listening, his internet might cut out. It's Canadian internet, so if you get a few seconds pause, we'll try to edit those out, but you might get some of those.
We're in the Great White North up here, man.
Everybody in Canada has the sketchy internet called the Canadian internet. But yeah, so like Clients and Community, they're big. Like, what's the revenue now on an annual basis? Approximately, like it's growing, obviously, but it's north of. Am I able to say it? Am I able to say it's north of like 8 figures?
Probably. So we're in that ballpark of like 8 figures, maybe a little bit below. Probably in like the $8 million a year range.
That's fantastic, and it's pretty new, right?
I was going to say, then 2019 when we launched the company, we did $213,000.
Wow,
the whole
incredible, incredible, and yeah, their stuff is top notch, guys. And more than it just being good, like they had this awesome culture. They had this awesome culture. I first went to their masterminds in Scottsdale, Arizona. So it really worked out for me because I live here. So yeah, but went to that, met you guys, joined the upper level mastermind, recently got back from the second event. But I saw how you guys run it. I saw how genuine you guys are. I saw how much you cared. And that really spoke to me. So I'm like, yeah, for those reasons alone, like I knew I was going to get my ROI by joining it, right? But for those reasons alone, I'm like, yeah, let's do it. I have things to learn there because like I want PT Legends, the coolest stuff you have about community, like it's like that's what I want for my gym owners. And it's really important.
Yeah, I mean, it's something we pride ourselves on, man. Whenever we first started the company, the aim wasn't to go and create a culture. It was like, go and make money. Like, we need to put food on the table for all of us here. But as things have grown and expanded and our team has grown, the culture that we've been able to develop has just been absolutely incredible. I mean, the information that we give, the process, everything that you get access to tactically, it obviously is great when you put it into motion. It works. We've created, over $100 million throughout collectively all of our clients since we launched our company, which is a great thing. But the thing that happened that was unexpected is the amazing culture that we've been able to build, both internally with our team, but also with our clients, amongst all of them. over the past like 3-4 years. It's been incredible.
Isn't that the most rewarding thing in the world? And I'm getting that now with what I'm doing. Like at first I'm teaching strategy and tactics that just blow the fucking doors down for gym owners. But the cool thing is like accidentally now there's this community of awesome supportive gym owners. That is the most rewarding thing to be a part of. And I feel privileged and honored. And that's amazing. That's one of those things that you never really think about until it's there. You're like, this is the most rewarding thing I've ever done in my life.
Yeah. And here's the thing, man. If we're talking to a bunch of gym owners that are going to be listening to this, entrepreneurship is a lonely game. You know, we are the oddballs in society. We're the people that say we are taking life by the horns and we're going to show life who's boss, not the other way around. So we're the minority. There's no and ifs or buts about it. There's way more people doing the 9 to 5, and we need these people. Okay. Definitely not looking down, not judging, but entrepreneurship is a whole other beast. It's a different game. And it's a game where it's very, very easy to feel alone. It's a lonely environment. Okay. Because we're always this close to our companies. We're always this close to everything. And it gets very, very lonely. So whenever you can start surrounding yourself by like-minded people that will understand what it is you're living through, there's an empowerment factor that comes to life there, right? Whenever you're talking to someone and you're like, I want to make, I don't know, $100,000 a month in my gym. You go and tell that to your neighbor, Joe, that's never been an entrepreneur, never been exposed to anything like that. They probably think you're crazy. What do you, $100,000 a month? I don't even make that in a year. What are you talking about? But you get an environment where that's the norm. You know, you're surrounded by like-minded people and you go and you speak your goals and you speak your aspirations. And all of a sudden you're met with belief on the other side. You're met with, hey, me too. What's working for you right now? Here's what's working for me. And you start entering this community of collaboration and empowerment where the next thing you know, you hit that $100,000 a month and you're like, what's next? So the power in community and like-mindedness is completely underrated. And that's something that we've realized over, years now doing this, that yes, the tools, the strategies are extremely important, but the community itself and that collaboration between all those inside of it is next to none. Like, it's so important.
100%. And this is why I will always, always, always be part of masterminds forever. And it's because you're on your own island and you're a freak compared to everybody else. But let's say you're even, or some of your peers and they're at a certain level, and then you just become accustomed. Like what's that saying? I can't remember who it was. It was Warren Buffett or somebody else, but you're kind of some of the five, your success level is about some of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Right.
That's right.
And then people are like, well, I don't really know anybody, Rich. So, oh, well, but that's why you get in these groups and you meet these people. They are going to have you think bigger, think differently. And then just through osmosis, by being around them and seeing what they do and picking up and your mindset changing from their very presence, you're going to do bigger things. And that's why I go for the expensive stuff too. Like, get me in the room with people who are doing the same as me or better than me all day long.
If you're the biggest fish in the aquarium, you're in the wrong aquarium.
For sure.
Right?
You're just stroking your own ego at that point.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I know myself and my business partners, we like being the smallest player, right? And it's happened time and time again. We were doing $20,000 a month. We wanted to get to $100,000 a month. What did we do? Went and found a room where it's normal to be making $100,000 a month.
Yep.
And the same thing to now we're making, between that $500,000 to $700,000 a month. That's because we went and found a room that's the norm. Like, and then you just observe how those people operate. You put you in a room where there's 5 rich people. Who's going to be the 6th? You, because you are the product of your environment.
Yep.
And honestly, that's environment in one aspect of the word. I'm a big believer in environment. And like, if you look around in my office right now, every last single thing in my office right now is here purposely and by design because it contributes to a productivity level that I want to operate at, So I'm looking at, like, right now, I got right here is like my money tree crystal because it brings energy into the room. I've got my Rolex box here that my partners gifted me when they made me partner. in the company, they gifted me a Rolex. That's a milestone moment for me. I see it. It reminds me of it. I got like Mark Hoverson quotes, all the books that I've read,
Love it.
my daughter's art projects, like everything in here is by design. And that's because I'm a big believer that your environment will dictate the level of productivity you're able to pump out.
Absolutely. And I'm the same way. My office is very, very purposeful, even to which books face out on my bookshelf over there, right? So I can see them and it reminds me. This also reminds me too, is you guys, I was at the first event, right? And I saw like some clients get on stage too and talk. I'm like, wow, I'm going to be up there on stage talking about my successes, right? 3 months later, who brought me up on stage? You introduced me up on there, right? I got to get up. I got to talk about that. And you guys also gave me an award. And I've received, what is it over there? One of them, a 2 comma club from ClickFunnels. And that was for work done in my gyms, right?
Yeah.
That was for breaking, $1 million in a single funnel in my own one. But I've also hit a new one that you handed to me for the success now teaching other gyms how to do that exact same thing. And you guys gave me your 7-figure award on stage, just like literally 3 months after I joined your mastermind, which is amazing. And I've been posted about it at all because I wanted to like do an unboxing video, and then here's me with a billion things to do, so I never do it. So now would be a good time to do that, because when we're talking about our offices and how we put things there purposefully, this is what's going to go behind me. So I've got it right here.
Oh, we're doing this live.
We're doing it live because I'm like, you know what? It's Thursday. It's going to be Friday tomorrow. I'm not going to get to it before the weekend. And you're the one who handed me this bad boy.
Yeah, so let's see what we got here.
I'm going to make a mess.
This is so awesome.
Here's this big, beautiful bad boy right here. And for those of you watching,
this makes me so happy, man.
How cool is that? It looks gorgeous. It's a gold record from Clients and Community. If you're watching the video on this, you'll see.
Happy, dude. My job, literally, as the client success director at Clients and Community, is to ensure that I build processes, build a team, and manage that team and develop them to make sure that this happens. So this makes me super happy and extremely proud, man. Really happy for you and proud, just proud.
Appreciate it, man. Your $1 million group award for earning $1 million with your group right here. Just awesome. Awesome. So number one, appreciate your help with everything. It's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. And learning so much about how to lead a group and how to lead a community, because that's a heavy weight too. Like there's a lot of people relying on you for their success. It's an awesome weight and an awesome honor to have. And I know like a lot of my gym owners can get stuck too, where they can't find their number 2 person to help them get out of certain roles or to scale up and out, whether scaling up and out means another location or whether scaling up and out means they're going on to another project. Like we're helping a lot of people build online coaching businesses on top of their brick and mortar gym. They're out of their brick and mortar gym, right? They don't want to do a second location. Some of them do, right? Second, third, fourth, fifth location. Some of them don't want the overhead and to do that all again. So some of them want to keep growing, but like, hey, I can do online fitness coaching, nutrition coaching, whatever it is for my target avatar who I love. And now that they've replaced themselves, they're able to do that. And that's super rewarding, right? So I probably have some people to send to you guys too. But like, that's a sticking point for a lot of people, is finding that person and getting them to the stage where they can replace you. And this would be great for you to talk about, because you're a partner in Clients and Community, but it didn't start out that way. So I was wondering if you could kind of share a little bit about, your story, how you came to work for them, and then the things that you were able to do to earn your way up to partner and how it's helped the company move forward.
Yeah, we can definitely dive into that. And you know what? I've been around my business partners for years now. I have been, since the beginning of this company, I have been involved, and I've always been very much so on the client side of things. So for years, we've been getting the question of like, where do I find my Justin? Where do I find my Justin? And The very simple answer to that question is you don't find a Justin, you build a Justin. So I thought that I would pre-frame my answer of like kind of describing the journey from, where I started to becoming a partner with that, because the man that I was when Landon Stapes and Jaden found me, or I found them, is not the man that I am today. And the man that I was whenever they first met me would never have become a partner in this company.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's a big piece of them developing who I am today. Like they have helped me radically change physically, mentally, financially in my relationship. It's all development that they help me put into motion. So whenever people ask us the question, we're like, where do I find my Justin? It's like, you don't fucking find Justin. You build Justin. So my journey began in 2017 whenever my wife and we were pregnant for our second daughter. And I was freaking out, man, because we were living paycheck to paycheck already. Wife was just rolling off of a maternity leave for our oldest. If you reverse engineer the math, they're 23 months apart. It's 9 months pregnancy, which means my wife was literally just coming off maternity leave. And then a couple months later, we find out we're pregnant again. And maternity leave here in Canada is 12 months. You get very little money. It's a very small little, weekly thing that you get. So we worked our way into a hole. And then whenever that was done and my wife went back to work, daycare started. So it was like we weren't getting ahead. And that's why whenever we found out we were pregnant again, it was like joy at first, whenever we first found out, followed by that massive weight of like, oh my God, what are we going to do here? How am I going to afford this? And then, so I was freaking out. And then I was scrolling Facebook one day and I come across this couple that are like living that laptop lifestyle, making money from all over, traveling. And I was just desperate enough to actually comment like info to find out like, what the hell are you guys doing to be able to do this?
Mm-hmm.
And it ended up being like affiliate marketing. So I'm like, okay, I'll venture into this and see what this is all about. And it was like, it was like a very low ticket monthly thing to, and then, but really it was like as a heavy, substantial investment to like make the real money. I'm not going to get into the whole details of like what it was or whatever, but you needed to basically buy the product that was a high ticket product in order to be able to then make commissions from selling that same product to other people. So, man, like it was a big decision. It was a big decision. My thankfully, my wife is actually the one that, like, dude, there's certain moments in time that you look back on and you look at that one decision that changed everything.
Mm-hmm.
That's the one. Like whenever I found out the true investment of like doing this journey, I was 99% like, no way, I can't do this. We're paycheck to paycheck. We have debt. I'm not going into more debt to doing this. I'll go and get another job or whatever. And I remember coming up and sharing with my wife, like, this thing is actually a pretty substantial investment here. I don't know. And like, she looked at me and she was like, well, do you think you can make it work? And I was like, she like put me into like reflection mode. And I'm like, yeah, I've always been wired to like, if I say I'm going to do something, like will relentlessly chase after that thing.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, well, you have my support. So like, she brings me from like this end of the spectrum over here, where I'm like 99% refunding that low ticket and going back to my life, to like, all right, I'm actually going to do this. Like, I think if I will follow through and I'm going to do this. And I ended up making the investment. Then who is on the executive leadership team inside of that company at the time? My current business partners. So I hop on my first training that they're giving inside of this community, and it's Landon and Stapes. They're the ones delivering the training. And from that first training, man, I'm like, dude, these guys are awesome. Like, these guys provide value. They make it fun. I laughed. I learned. And I also took what they were teaching, implemented it, and I was getting the result. So I was like, you guys are incredible. So I wanted to get around them for that reason, but also the life that they were living at the time as well. I was like, they had location independence, they had financial independence. I was like, man, I want to get around these guys. And then a couple months down the road, after showing up consistently to their trainings, they launched a Facebook group, which our whole model now is based off of realizing the power of that Facebook group back then.
Mm-hmm.
And man, they launched a Facebook group and they had like thousands of people requesting to join the group, like out of the gates. And they were caught off guard by that. So they ended up doing a post saying, we're looking for volunteer moderators. You'll volunteer your time managing this Facebook group for us. And in return, like we'll meet with you once a month and like we'll help you with whatever you're working on. I was like, that's it. That's my way in. That's how I'm going to like become an asset to these guys and serve them. So I ended up throwing my name in the hat. They ended up selecting me as one of those that came on. And I was like, now's the time. Like, now is the time to show these guys what I've got. Like, so I'm like, I'm going to show them my work ethic. I'm going to show them how consistent I am, my leadership skills, communication skills. And, dude, I did that for 15 months, man. 15 months. I volunteered my time to these guys. And, you know, in that time, I was still working full time for the federal government here in Canada. I'm a father. I'm a husband. I play sports. Like, it was very easy to be like, I can't do this. I just don't have the time to do this. But I'm like, what Landon, Stapes, and Jaden were so good at was casting the vision of like, here's where we see this going, and here's where we see you fitting in. And I think if they had not like casted that vision of like the belief of like, here's where we're going, I don't know if I would have stuck around for 15 months trading in my time for nothing. You know what I mean? So that's one thing, man. They got, you know, they hit the nail on the head, is incredibly good at vision casting, where they're going and how you fit inside of that vision. So like for anyone that's listening, if you have big aspirations and you're looking for that person to be by your side, that right-hand man to like help you do it, you have to be able to verbalize that vision and also explain to them how they fit in within it. Because people, when they believe in that vision and they see where they're going, they're willing to eat those dog shit sandwiches for way longer than if they have no clue where they're going and why am I doing this in the moment. So vision casting to that person that you can eventually see being that right-hand person or replacing you so you can go and do other things, you got to be able to communicate that vision. That's number one.
That's so good. And I've had that. If I look at the partners that I have right now, like whether they're partners, you know, a minority partner in one of the gyms or like, you know, Dave, like these are all people that worked for me in some capacity that, we aligned in the vision. Like, here's where I want to go. And they wanted to be a part of it. Right. And I also recognize them for the effort they're putting in, right? Their potential. And same thing, kind of cast that vision. And that's where actually now that I think back on it, that's where all of my current partners came from, actually, which is really cool. I know. So go ahead, continue though. It's really good that casting the vision and seeing how they can be a part of it.
Casting the vision for sure. And like I was saying a while ago, man, you don't find that perfect person. You got to find the person with the will to become that person and then develop them.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So in those 15 months, these guys helped develop me, man. Like they taught me how to communicate with efficiency, how to use executive communication. They taught me how to make effective decision making. They taught me how to start leading. Like, man, like you will get loyalty out of someone to the same proportion that they experience growth from being around you.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
So take pride in the development of the people around you and like how you make that happen. You know, so because like in those 15 months of just volunteering, I became a whole like other person, man. Like I dropped like 40 pounds. I, started like functioning in a different way, operating through a different lens. They really showed me the power of like working on your mind. You know, before then, I had never even dabbled in any sort of personal development ever. I'd made all of $0 in investment in myself. And getting around them where personal development was just a normal thing. It's like, this is just what we do. Like, how are you not growing?
Right.
And they got me operating out of a different lens, got me working on myself. They got me working on my body, like, because that was just the standard that they set. And then so eventually in January of 2019, they leave that thing, and I had left that affiliate marketing thing, and it's like we're starting our own thing now. Like, this is the vision we have. It's finally time to like go and execute. And they call me up like, hey, like, we can't pay you much, but we can give you like $500 a month. Can you be like our customer support guy, man? Like, we're launching this membership thing, and we're probably gonna get some support requests. So like, can you handle those? And I'm like, I'm in. Like, let's go. I've been working for free for 15 months. So like $500 a month is like a life changer for me, man. And then, so for the next 12 months, I worked in that capacity, part-time, paid, $500 a month, right up until like, whenever COVID started hitting in March 2020. That's where CNC, Clients and Community, that's where we had our first ever 6-figure month. And I remember Landon calling me, being like, dude, hand in your 2 weeks. Like, you're rolling with us now, man. And that was like a milestone for me, like being able to like hand in my resignation, step away from the federal government, and just go and pursue that vision that for like years, man, like years at this point, I'm like envisioning that thing that they're telling me they're going to do. Mm-hmm. And another thing, I want to side note this because it's extremely important. Casting the vision to that person is one thing. Taking the daily actions aligned with that vision is a whole other thing. I saw that they were constantly working at that vision, which is why I believe that it was going to come to fruition. If you're telling someone, here's what I envision and how you fit within it, and then you don't follow through with any actions to make that come to life, the belief is going to go down. But my belief was always 110% because they were following through day after day on making that vision come to life.
There's probably a good degree of transparency of what they were doing then, I'm guessing, right? And probably
extreme levels of communication.
Yeah, there you go. That's what it is. Because I think a lot of gym owners are worried about that because they also don't want to share when they suck or when they ran this Facebook ad campaign and it didn't do well and things like. Because I'm sure it wasn't a linear progression everywhere. I'm sure they hit stumbling blocks. I'm sure they had high hopes for this thing and it didn't pan out, right?
Yeah, we still to this day have stumbling blocks. Well, I mean, in entrepreneurship, I don't think you're ever going to get away from the stumbling blocks. No. You just need to start embracing them and taking pride in how quickly you can get over those blocks. But yeah, even to this day, man, like if we have to make a fire on the team, we were able to let somebody go, we're bringing that right. We typically will make sure that firing takes place immediately before the whole company has a meeting, and we'll go right into the meeting afterwards and go and explain what's happened, our justification, the reason the decision was made. Well, and yeah, like, dude, anything that doesn't work, we're talking about it as an entire company, what we learned from it and where we're going next. We're also talking about, we did this thing and it worked incredibly well. Let's double down on this. Mm-hmm. Like, yeah, extreme levels of communication from top. And I don't even like saying top down because I operate with my team of like, we are side by side, arms locked on a mission together. I don't like the top down thing. Yeah. But like, I'm just saying from like the owners down to the people implementing the process and like answering support tickets, everyone knows what's up.
Yeah. So that's really evident whenever I'm talking to anybody. It's evident when you walk in the room to one of your big events. It's just so evident that everybody knows what's going on, that's tuned into it, that believes in the vision. That's what impressed me the most. The energy is pretty incredible. And I don't think your average entrepreneur has that.
Yeah, man. I mean, 2 books that I can really pull from for like how we lead as a company, how I specifically lead my team. Our number one, Culture Code by Daniel Coyle. Incredible resource that we've pulled from a lot because it's a very tactical book in nature of like, here's all these massive companies and sports teams that I've gone to study, and here's how they operate at such a high level. It's like, okay, I'll take that information and go implement it. Thank you. And then there's also Extreme Ownership by Jocko Willink, which he's an incredible leader. He was in the Navy SEALs and now he does consulting and leader of leaders, man. Like, this guy is unreal.
That one I've already read. I'll read the other one, but that one I've already read. It's incredible.
Yeah. So such like those 2 books I've really, really pulled from. in the way that I lead my team. And then just to kind of finish the journey. So in March 2020, I'm able to step away from my job and go into this entrepreneurial journey full time. And, I was the fulfillment guy. Like I was the whole team. I was, recording welcome videos, onboarding clients, processing payments, sending out gifts, everything. Like I was doing absolutely everything. And I could only do that for so long before we were like, we got to start building a little bit of a team around me here to start helping out. And whenever we started building out that team, that's where they promoted me to client success director, where I'm no longer the guy doing all the things. I'm managing and leading the people doing all the things. And then I worked in that capacity from like October 2020 all the way up until July 2022. And in July 2022 is whenever, the founders of the company, they sat me down and were like, we wouldn't be where we are in this company without you. Like we owe so much to you. And because of that, we would like to offer you like equity in the company and bring you on as a partner with us. And that was in July of 2022. So that's how I've gone from a volunteer to partner and client success director in a span of 4.5 years.
Hey, just a quick reminder to everybody, if you are ready to start making an extra $10,000 more this month, every month, by making more money with less clients with transformational programs and create a consistent flow of high-quality leads, you can learn more about what it's like to work with me and my team at PT Legends and how ridiculously affordable it is at CoachScottCarpenter.com. It is such a no-brainer that it more than pays for itself when we teach you how to enroll just two case study clients. Really, that's it. So go to CoachScottCarpenter.com and learn more about it. Incredible. And what's amazing is that from 0 to however many months, like when you were volunteering, then how long was it when you were working for free and then you were working for $500 a month? Like what was the length of that?
15 months.
Incredible. I think.
Yeah. So between volunteering and working part-time, it was a total of 27 months while still holding my full-time 40 hours a week job.
Wow. That's incredible. Yeah, and I think that goes to show like somebody can be amazing on paper. They can have all the skill set. They can have all the experience in the world. They can look the best, but if they do not want it, there's not much you can do. There's not much you can do to keep them. There's not much you can do to make that person replace yourself or really be a business driver. They're just going to fill a seat.
When I'm hiring, okay, I do a lot of hiring, man. Like my division of the company, I make all the decisions, hiring, firing. When I'm hiring, I am looking at like 95% will over skill.
Mm-hmm.
Like cultural fit, how they show up, how their communication is, for all those things. But like will over skill. Do you have the will to be here, to learn, to grow, to become the best in the world at what it is you're going to do? If I'm sensing the will and skill isn't quite there, I don't care, man. I will teach you everything you need to know in terms of skill. I cannot teach you will. So I am evaluating on a will level where they're at, and that's really, really important. Because on the flip side, man, it's very hard. Somebody can be extremely skilled at something, but if they don't have the will to give it everything they have and grow and contribute and bring the company to where it is we want to take it, then they just don't have it, man. They just don't have it.
I 100% agree. And over the years, it's easy to see where I've made those mistakes, right? And this is something that a lot of gym owners share too, is you hire somebody who's got this experience and, it looks like a lot of times as the entrepreneur, you look at somebody like that and you're like, ooh, you feel relief because you're like, oh, that's less work and development I have to do for that person. It's the shortcut. They're already really trained. They already know these things. So I can just like plop them in there. And I think that exact shortcut is the reason why so many gym owners get left behind. They can't not find, but they don't want to develop that person. And I have to say, like, my best ones and my partners, like, they didn't know everything either. They had to be developed. They had to learn, but they have to have that willingness to learn and put in the effort.
Yeah.
I'm 100% in agreement with you.
And also, like, I'm not saying it's impossible to find like those A players. It's completely possible, but it starts with what's happening inside of your company. Because where do A players want to go? They want to go to winning teams. An A player doesn't want to go to a mediocre B team where they want to go win, and where their, skills and qualities that they bring to the equation are going to be capitalized on and, contribute to a result. So that starts with what you already got going on. If like you, for sure, you're even A players, man, you're going to find A players. You still got to build them up. There's no getting around developing and building your people. There's no getting around it. But if you want to attract those like high quality A level players, you got to have a winning team. You got to have a culture. You got to view your team, whatever you're doing, like they're a professional sports team that just wins and dominates, and people are like begging at the door, knocking down doors to try and get in. You got to turn your team into that. And that starts with like culture, with core values, without a shitty culture. Like culture is everything, man. If you do not have a strong culture on your team, you are never going to hit the level that you could if you do have a strong culture.
Agreed.
When you're surrounded by a bunch of team members that want it as bad as you do as the founder, how do you lose? You don't.
And that's another key distinction that a lot of people gloss over. You as the owner, you need to want it. You need to invest in yourself. You need to continuously develop yourself in all areas of your life. And so many times I see it with gym owners is like they stop learning. They get stuck. They are comfortable where they're at. They don't want to learn new skills. Like learning how to do high ticket inside of your brick and mortar. I don't care where you're at. You're getting a massive, massive boost. But some people are just too afraid to invest in it, just like you were, right? With that course. And you're like, oh man, I don't know. That's a lot. But like if you stop investing in yourself, if you stop developing yourself, like I don't know how you can lead a team of people who want to do that. You can't expect them to do it and you not do it in return. Do it first, I should say.
You must set the standard. And you must help develop your people. And where people make mistakes is, well, we have a professional relationship, so I'm going to help develop you professionally in your role. No. I believe in professional and personal development. Like I set the standard in both arenas, man. Like in my relationship with my wife, in my relationship with my kids, in relationship with my body, everything, I set the fucking standard. I set the standard and I raise my team up because of it. This is just how we operate. If you want to be on this team, this is the minimum. This is the standard. And dude, like my team members, you can go interview every single one of them. I guarantee you they'll all say the same thing. They have developed not only professionally, but personally, just as a result of being on my team. And what do you think that does when you are helping someone professionally and personally develop? They are going to give it everything they have in return for you.
Everything. The loyalty that you will get by not just offering a cool job, and be a great boss. The loyalty you'll get by helping somebody become the best version of themselves. It's amazing. And who wants to leave that? Right? Like when it comes to joining a mastermind or whatever it is, that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking in all areas. It's not because most of us entrepreneurs aren't just all about the money. You might get into it with just that. I was there when I was younger, I just wanted to see the money, but then you realize there's so much more to life and you got to win in all areas. You have to win in all areas. And most entrepreneurs I meet, they have that desire, which is amazing.
Yeah. And honestly, man, we've been like at one point in time, it was literally me and the 3 founders of the company. That was the entire company, where all we had to worry about was ourselves. Now we have like a staff of 30. Like that's a very, very significant change in the way that you operate, where it's not like, if this crumbles, like I'll be fine, I'll go get a job. It's like we have 30 people depending on us to perform and show up to the peak ability that we can day in and day out, because we are the ones that put food on the table.
Yeah.
Like if we don't show up, and be the best version of ourselves and constantly grow and develop, we are underserving those that are giving everything they have to us. So if you're not pushing and growing and excelling and striving to be the best version of yourself, you're underserving your people.
100%. And I think a lot of people, like I've had the weight of that too when things weren't going well in my gyms, right? Years ago, I felt I was failing my people. You know what I mean? But that drove me to like, okay, I got to make some changes. I got to learn some shit. I got to invest my time. I got to invest my money. And it drives you. It drives you. You have that responsibility. And I think some people don't want to continue to grow and do that because they don't want the weight of that, or they've let somebody down and they're just scared.
Yeah.
And they just settle.
We hear it all the time, and it's a little bit of a mind bender, but people hear fear of failure, and it's like, okay, that makes sense. Like there's a fear that you're going to try something and it's not going to work and you fail. But then you hear the flip side of that where it's like fear of success. And people are like, what are you talking about fear of success? But that's exactly what you're talking about right there is like, that's like fear of success, where it's like, am I going to get to a level where I am not good enough to like do the things that are required at that level? Or like we were saying, the people that are depending on you, like whenever you have people depending on you, you've gotten to a level of success where you've been able to build something that's big enough where you need a team's help to start managing it. Like the fear of success is like the team. Like I have all these people that their livelihood depends on me. Right. So there's like, you can use fear whatever way you want, but I choose to use fear as a driving point, as a way to not get stagnant and complacent. Right. It's like, I used to be 65 pounds heavier than I am right now. And dude, the fear of going back to that person is enough to keep me on my toes every single day. Like I do not ever want to go back to that version of myself, man. I had low ambition, no goals. I was like one promotion away from being set for life in the government, dude. Like that was my mindset. Like 65 pounds heavier, never reading books, never working on myself. Dude, I am petrified to go back to that version of myself. So just the fear of going back to that is enough to keep me on track every single day.
I think it's amazing too, because the way your life was heading, and it kind of changed once you bought that course, you got exposed to the right people.
Yes.
Right. It's not necessarily what you learned in that course or this, it's that you got exposed to Stapes and Landon there. Right.
Dude, I can't tell you a single thing I learned in that course.
Yeah.
I don't remember. What I took out of it was the relationships. And you were at the event a couple weeks ago in Scottsdale. There was a client that flew out and brought her 14-year-old son, and she flew all the way out there to ask that one question of what would you tell your 14-year-old self? And then she went and sat down, and me and my business partners were up there looking at each other like, who wants to go first? Who wants to answer this question? And like my answer to that was like, I would go back and tell my 14-year-old self, like, go all in on relationships. Like go and formulate relationships, have an impact on people, aim to be memorable. If you
remember you saying that, yeah.
If you operate out of the lens where like, what can I do? How can I impact this person that they're going to remember me forever? You will never lack opportunities. Opportunities will always be knocking at your doorsteps because of the way you just operate, the way that you go about your day, what you do for people. Like, so yeah, I'm a massive, massive believer in social environment for that exact reason. I was talking about environments a while ago, how there's different phases or different arenas, environments. Like this is my physical environment, but like a social environment is who you choose by design to surround yourself with. And nothing against my high school buddies or anyone I grew with growing up doing like a whole other path in life, doing like working for somebody else. But like whenever I started surrounding myself with other people, like my current business partners, I have a really close friend and mentor right now. His name's Cody Jefferson. If you guys don't follow Cody, he's an incredible dude. Go follow him. Getting around people like that, the conversations change, right? They what you're discussing goes from like what you did on the weekend or like what the neighbor's up to and would you believe this to like, here's what I'm working on. Here are my goals. Like what's working for you. And like just the level of conversation changes And it goes from like a stagnant conversation to a growth oriented conversation. And it just gets you thinking differently. It gets you operating differently. So I can't put enough importance on the social environment and like getting around people that are going to force you to grow, because that's just a standard in that relationship.
It's changes your whole life. It's to the point, and then the same way, like most of the people, all the people I really grew up with just took their normal everyday route, right? That's not the route of the entrepreneur. It isn't. The conversations are totally different. And I almost have a hard time relating to other people in certain ways. You know what I mean? Like, I put it this way, I'm more bored by those conversations because I want to have these bigger conversations, you know?
I will 100% relate to that, man. Don't get me wrong. I still love like my brothers from another mother from high school. Like we still all keep in touch. It's just they've gone from seeing me every weekend to every other month, maybe, you know, and it's fine. Like I still love them and I enjoy being around them and we laugh, but the level of conversation, exactly like you said, it kind of bores me sometimes, man, because we're talking like it's not productive. It's not growth oriented. Where I hop on a podcast with you, you have massive ambition. I have massive ambition. We're talking intentionally about building up ourselves, building up others, how to get to that next level in business. Like this fires me up. Like I will leave this podcast more energized than I did with showing up to it, because this fires me up.
Absolutely. And you just get challenged to think bigger and bigger and bigger. I love it. And it's just so much fun. But yeah, I'm the same way. It's not like I don't hang out with these people or ever see them or I'm cutting them out of my life. But they play a smaller role. I'm just not that interested in it. Like I love kicking back and having fun sometimes. But for me, building an amazing future with people you love, your family, your friends, your coworkers, your peers in your industry, that's fucking fun.
It is
like that's a lot more fun than doing the same thing like I did when I was, 19 years old every weekend.
Yeah. Yeah, man. And like, again, I am not in any sort of way saying entrepreneur 9 to 5. Like we need both in this world. And like, don't get me wrong, man. Like I'll go to the yearly cottage thing we do with all the guys and I will fucking smoke everybody at Spike Ball. I take that shit seriously and I have a great time, dude. But I can't wait to get back to my dialed in routine.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to get back in my environment where I'm having those growth oriented conversations again. And it's not demeaning and it's not downplaying that, people that have chosen a different path. It's just different. It's not better. It's not worse. It's just different. And I like being around the people that are that type of different with me. We're having these types of conversations.
Agreed. Not everybody is cut out to be an entrepreneur, wants it, anything. And it's their choice, right? And at the end of the day, it's not talking down to that kind of life. It's just not what we want. That's it.
Exactly.
Right. And you just need to surround yourself by people more like you more often than not. Big recipe. So that's something I'm always in masterminds for, just because of the social environment, 100%. And I always will be. But yeah, so you hire a lot now. And this is where I think gym owners really get stuck too. You mentioned that really hiring on will instead of skill, right, is a big factor. What's another kind of tip that you see for hiring?
So one of the mistakes I see people making often is they'll do one interview and they'll be like, oh, I like this guy, you're in. Or I like this girl, you're in. I have put together an absolute animal of a rigorous hiring process where different elements of my hiring process, I am keeping an eye out on different things. And for me, like one of the biggest things is like cultural fit. Are you going to fit into the culture that we've already got created over here? Do I think you're going to fit? Yes or no? And it's important, man, because whenever you build a culture that is so strong, like I don't even need to fire people in that case, man. Like the culture will literally eat them up and spit them back out if they don't fit in within it. Like if you come in the clients and community and you're not growth oriented, you're not going to last. If you come in the clients and community, you're not hungry every day to show up and make an impact on others, you're not going to last. Right? So like I'm looking for these types of things culturally. Are you going to fit in to the type of environment that we've created over here? Yes or no? The last thing that I want to do is hire somebody because I think they're cool and we had good laugh during the interview. And then, we spend money and time onboarding them. And then 2 months later, they just don't fit in culturally and we're getting rid of them. That's a waste of time for everybody involved. So I got a process where I do, the applicants are sending me videos. They're sending me answers. We're asking very unique types of questions to kind of like, we're not asking like, where have you worked? How long? Who was your boss? Like, I'm asking fucking like thought-provoking questions during my interview process or during my hiring process, just on the application. Then I'm doing group interviews to see how people operate in a group environment. And then I'm doing one-on-one interviews, and then I'm doing written assignment, and then I'm doing an offer of employment. So that's honestly, build a culture that's amazing, and then make sure that the next person that is potentially coming in is going to be a fit in that culture.
Yeah, I like that. And attitude is really where that fits in a lot too, because that's a lot of what it is with if people don't fit into cultures. A lot of times it's like a big attitude issue, right? I get this in the gym. Anyways, you see kind of like the grizzled, seasoned veteran trainer sometimes that thinks they know it all. It's a very ego-driven business quite often with trainers, and they're just horrible fits culture-wise because they already know everything, right?
Yeah.
And my culture's on the assumption that nobody knows everything. You're always learning in this field.
Yeah.
Because
that's being humble. Like, being humble is understanding that you don't know everything you need to know, and you're just like a forever student.
Forever student. And I love that. You're always learning. And you can learn from people who are quote unquote underneath you, less knowledgeable too. Like, you learn from teaching. How much do you learn when you teach? A ton. On a whole nother level. But you can always learn something from somebody, even if it's something that you're not supposed to do.
Exactly. I was going to say, man, I heard this once and it's so true. It's like, you can learn from every person on the face of this earth, right down to a bum on the side of the street eating out of a garbage. He can teach you what not to do to get there.
Yep.
Every single person on the face of the earth can teach you something.
Absolutely. And that's why I like to think I have like my role models, and for both positive and negative. I know that person that drives me because I do not want to be that person. They could even be quote unquote successful financially, whatever it is. You know what I mean? But it's like, I do not want to be that person. And they show me everything I don't want to do. And that's very powerful. It's a very good reminder to have those.
Yeah. And I just want to kind of go back to what we were talking about just before this. Whenever it comes to like the hiring, one thing too, after you've made the hire, it turns into leadership. And one thing that's so important is get comfortable with having the uncomfortable conversations. If there is a lack of performance, if there is, they're coming under KPIs, whatever that is in your business, if there is behavioral issues happening, if you're getting negative client feedback, whatever, those are not fun conversations to have with your team, but they need to be had for their development. I literally just had one today with one of my team members, and it's like, hey man, I have feedback for you. It's coming from a place of love and growth, and it's for your development. Do I have the permission to dive in? Yes, no. Awesome. Dude, if you have a team of A players, and then you have somebody that's either a B player or they're operating as a B player, and you are not nipping that in the butt, and you're not putting an end to it, and you're not having that difficult conversation because you're avoiding it because it's an uncomfortable conversation, guess what's going to happen to all of the A players? They're going to keep operating as an A player for only so long, and they're going to keep an eye on this B player that's not showing up the way that they do, and they're doing the minimum, and they're not whatever, and they're waiting on you. They're looking like, is this guy actually going to correct the situation, or is he just going to be stepped over and nothing's going to happen here? And then if you're that person that gets stomped over and you never have an uncomfortable conversation, guess what? All your A players, they're giving you the old bird, and they're like, I'm a B player now. Like, why am I going above and beyond? Why am I giving it my all when obviously it's not being recognized? Like, if a B player is acceptable here, then I'm just going to be a B player. And it's going to piss people off.
This reminds me of a quote that I've heard, and I don't know where it came from. So sorry, whoever wrote this thing, but the your success will be dictated by how many uncomfortable conversations you're willing to have.
Never
That
heard
has
that, but yeah,
that has some truth behind it, because I think a lot of us small business owners, we are afraid to have the uncomfortable conversations. We don't want to have them, and we give ourselves excuses not to have them, and it always creates a problem out of nothing too, because you let it slide for so long and it just turns cancerous.
yeah. Hey, you know what, man? I'm a big believer in the fact that you need to master two skills in order to be like successful and build something really epic. Number one is the ability to sell. And number two is the ability to lead people. If you can master those two things, like you can go and do anything. And you know what's involved in both of those skills? Uncomfortable conversations. So that's why I
Absolutely.
say get comfortable with having the uncomfortable conversations. Because whenever you can just get comfortable and remove emotion from it and come at it from a place of like, this is just business. Like this is, I'm logically coming to you with like what's I'm observing either through the data or through client complaints or whatever. It's no emotion. It doesn't belong there. It's you're coming from a place of logic. And whenever you can operate from that frame and you get comfortable with having those uncomfortable conversations, it makes it way easier to go and master those two skills of being able to sell and being able to lead people.
Absolutely.
So, man, like
that's brilliant advice.
Like speaking, the ability to speak and communicate is like top of the list, man. Like, because whenever you are able to speak clearly and confidently, that spills over into your copy whenever you're writing. Everything that you do when you're hiring, when you're looking to be hired, when you can develop that skill of communication, everything just gets easier. And like you can actually work, it's a skill set. Andy Frisella on his podcast years ago said he used to go into grocery stores and he wouldn't allow himself to leave until he had a conversation with 3 strangers every day. He was developing his skill of being able to speak. And I took that to heart and I started doing that. Whenever I'm emceeing events in front of 200 people, whenever I'm doing these podcasts, you're not just born able to speak clearly and efficiently. It's a skill set and you need to maintain it.
It's
right. It's
reps.
reps. So like if you're somebody that you're scared of having the uncomfortable conversations or you're scared to go to a stranger and introduce yourself, that's a skill that you literally work on starting today. Use Andy Frisella's thing that he taught me years ago. Go and literally shake hands with someone and start a conversation in the grocery store and don't allow yourself to leave until you have one meaningful conversation with a stranger. Do that for 3 months and go and see where your skill level is.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's just everything in life is reps. Everything in life in reps. That one is from Arnold Schwarzenegger. I know that. But everything in life is reps, man. And this is a good key takeaway. Because so there's, Justin has dropped a lot of bombs on this episode, and we'll wind it up because he probably has some coming up on the hour. But leave with that. Leave like of one uncomfortable conversation you need to have. If it's in your gym, it's going to be with maybe a really crappy client who's negatively impacting your culture, right? A weed client. It's going to be with maybe an employee that you've let something slide for too long that you need to address. Or maybe it's not in your business and everything's coming along. Maybe it's somebody in your personal life. Maybe it's a friend. Maybe it's a family member. Maybe it's a spouse. Maybe it's your kids. But this is a really good key takeaway. Leave this podcast episode and go book in for that one uncomfortable conversation that you need to have, but you've been avoiding doing it because you're scared.
Yeah. And also, everything that you see externally, whenever it hits your brain, it's all the way that you perceive it. It's all perception. So I consult with a lot of people in the world of entrepreneurship, and they come at me with like problems. And before I even dive into, all right, let's get the facts and let's see how to solve, I'm like, I have a little bit of a mindset lesson here. And the mindset lesson is you have chosen this path of entrepreneurship. And entrepreneurship, you are a PPS, a professional problem solver. So instead of like running into this, like go into every single day as an entrepreneur expecting that there will be a problem you're going to have to solve. And whenever that problem arises, it's like, oh, here's that problem I was expecting. And then take pride in your ability to solve those problems efficiently and quickly, rather than thinking every day is going to be perfect and smooth. And then whenever that problem inevitably pops up, you're like, fuck, and there's the problem. And you're operating out of a place of like, oh my God, this problem again. It's literally an internal dialogue switch. Mm-hmm. It's identity. I am a professional problem solver. I handle problems quickly, efficiently, and logically with no emotion. Whenever you tell yourself day in and day out, that's what you are, your ability to solve those problems automatically, just because of the internal dialogue that you're having with yourself, the ability to solve those problems spikes up just because of the way you speak to yourself. So on top of what Scott shared here, to leave with, like, go and have that uncomfortable conversation, operate through the lens of like, I'm a professional problem solver. That's what I do. I go and solve problems.
That's what your job is as an entrepreneur. Absolutely.
Especially as a leader of people, man. Like they're going to be coming to you every day with problems and situations that you're going to need to help with. So go into the day expecting that there's going to be problems. And if you have a completely smooth day with that one, sweet bonus.
Sweet bonus. Love when those happen, but not always. Justin, dude, thank you so much for coming on and sharing the wisdom. Your story is incredible. It's the amount of growth that I can see in you over the past 3-4 years. It's incredible. It's otherworldly. And that's the cool thing when you invest in yourself and put in time and surround yourself with people who are doing that. It's freaking bananas. You can become a whole new person in 3 years through personal development, like an entirely new person that doesn't even recognize your old self. It's crazy. So it's awesome to see that you've been through that journey. It's very self-evident. So amazing job, man.
Well, I appreciate it, man. And then one thing, just as a final note, it doesn't need to be difficult. It just needs to be intentional. And that's across literally all areas of your life, with your wife, with your children, with your team, with your business. It doesn't need to be difficult. It just needs to be intentional.
Excellent. Justin, where can people find you? Where can they connect with you?
So they can find me on Facebook. It's just my name, Justin Poulet, Poulet. And on Instagram, it's at Justin Poulet 33.
Awesome, man. Everybody, thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe to the Gym Owner Freedom Show. Leave us a 5-star review if you loved it. Check out our free resources in the show notes. We'll also drop Justin's contact information. Thanks a lot for listening. We'll see you next week. Thanks for listening, everyone. If you are ready to start making an extra $10,000 a month or more this month by making more money with less clients and create a consistent flow of high-quality leads, you can learn about what it's like to work with me and how ridiculously affordable it is at CoachScottCarpenter.com. And if you got any value out of this episode, please pay it forward and leave a review for this show. It helps other gym owners find the answers to the huge problems that we all share. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you on the next episode.